Hello, Kate speaking.
Hey, sorry about that. Call must have dropped. The network out here is garbage.
No problem. It's understandable. Are you still driving?
Yeah, we're not at the town yet. Hold on a sec. Andy, we almost there.
We're, a little ways out. Oh, and we need to make one quick stop, too.
Thanks, bud. So, where'd we get cut off?
You were telling me about the church. The landmine? The accident.
Right, yeah, well, of course, a civilian casualty like that, particularly, at the church, I guess it kind of refocused our attention here.
Had IDAP been particularly active in the area?
Yeah. I mean, our project had a handful of camps spread across the country. But yeah, I was in the town itself for a few months. It's all different now, though.
How so?
Well, for one thing, IDAP used to be based right in the heart of Oreo Castro. Of course, this was all pre-war. I remember, at that time, the local military maintained a checkpoint on the outskirts of town. That was understandable. I mean, the whole area was a kind of Wild West. Big mashup of civilian and guerrilla infrastructure. Disaster waiting to happen, really. I don't know. It's strange to see our camp based there now.
Hey, sorry about the holdup. We're on the way now.
All right, thanks, Andy.
So, what's your role there today?
Now, in general, the provision of aid. There was a lot of damage. IDAP fills the gap. Drinking water, basic medicine, post-war cleanup, in other words.
And on the ground, how does that translate to your work?
It's a mixed bag, like today. Part demining, part unexploded ordnance disposal.
I see.
Heads up, Mac. Almost there.
Got it. Sorry about that. We're arriving now. Give me a sec.
All right, Mac. That's your stuff all laid out here.
Hold on just a sec, Kate. I need to get set up.
Take your time.
All right, then. You got everything? Detector working? You, remember how to switch it on, right?
Yeah, I got it, Andy.
Then you're all set.
Thanks. So for now, I'll just make a note of where the mines are.
Yeah. Take it slow, Mac. We'll let the Bobcat do the heavy lifting later.
Hey, sorry, I forgot to mention, the demining toolkit, totally forgot to pack it up this morning.
That's no big deal. We're just locating the mines for now. Just keep me posted.
Are you free to talk, Nathan?
Sure. For now, I'm just sweeping the road for mines, getting a lay of the land, The detector lets us see what we're dealing with here. I can work and chat.
Question. What happens when you do find a landmine?
Ordinarily, we disarm it, but today, small oversight, we haven't got all our gear right now.
Oh, it's on the way, I hope.
Yeah, it's all good.
So, since the war's now over, has your own role changed at all?
Yeah, I guess so. Now I'm almost entirely focused on EOD and UXO.
And that's something you did in the military too?
Yeah, that's the thing about mines. War or not, win, lose, they don't go away.
How many minefields are you facing in Altis?
That we know of, 22. 23 including whatever's here. Plus you've got Stratus, another 4 over there, I think.
I see. And can you estimate, roughly, how long it would take to remove them all?
A lot of variables, but cleanup operation of this size, if it's only IDAP, we're talking years.
Do you ever get nervous?
Yeah, but not when I'm working. It hits you after. Or before. Andy, I'm at the barricade.
Cool. And the road?
Yeah, it's what we thought. Dozen or so APs, nothing the old Bobcat can't handle.
What do you hope to achieve in the town? What's your end goal?
Poke around, get rid of all the bad stuff, ERW, explosive remnants of war. In Oreo Castro, that'll be landmines and some leftover ordnance.
How well do you remember the town?
You mean before it was destroyed? Vividly. Hey, quick tidbit for you. Oreo Castro means beautiful castle in the local lingo.
Oh, I didn't know that. Do you speak the language?
Not so much, only with the older generation. Not a problem now, though.
Oh?
Well, Oreo Castro's pretty much a ghost town. Nothing here but remnants of war and a couple of goats. And they aren't exactly great conversationalists. I got a blocked door here.
Yep. NATO still hasn't gotten its ass into gear. I can make some calls, but,
I'll come back later. The people here, they didn't have much love for their army.
Why do you think that is?
History, I guess. This place never supported the military takeover, the Kavala coup and all that. Plus, stationing troops in the town, nobody believed the government's spin about training. They were seen as an occupying force there to keep a lid on things. There was a beautiful oak tree here once, 300 years old. Folks used it as a meeting spot. They'd pin notes for one another on the trunk. I got a UXO here dug right into the wall.
Shit. You'll need the toolkit for that job. I'll get on the horn to dispatch, see what's taking them so long.
I'll come back later. Where our camp used to be.
Anything left?
Not much. Few memories, maybe. By the way, Kate, I guess everyone there's pretty busy, covering the peace talks?
At AAN?
Yeah.
It's quite hectic, yes. We're flying out a team, actually. Should be on the ground in the next few days.
Any insider info?
Well, it seems likely Nikos Panagopoulos will be the new president.
Really? That ex-guerrilla? Hell, Colonel Acantero's days must really be numbered. What a mess. Loose rubble everywhere.
You up at the armory, Mac? We need to make a note to sort that shit out. Probably a whole bunch of ordnance lying around.
I'll come back later.
How does IDAP distribute aid? It's a big logistical operation.
Oh, yeah. As the name suggests, we're an international organization. You wouldn't believe the paperwork. Supplies come in from all over Europe, end up at our depot in the Netherlands.
And they're shipped out from there?
Mm-hmm. Worldwide. Ground convoys make up the last leg of the journey, though sometimes we rely on helilifts and airdrops.
The mechanic you've been telling me about, he and his brother, they'd always lived there.
In the town, you mean? Yeah, as far as I know. The family business, the garage, it kind of kept them rooted. Hey, Andy.
Yep. What's up?
What's the deal with the church? Can we get in or what?
Sorry, Mac. No dice. NATO's got first dibs. They're bringing their boys home. Bag and tag. Best leave them to it.
I'll come back later. The church, where the mines are, it's sealed off now.
By IDAP?
No, NATO. They lost some guys there in the firefight. One of their EODs is helping clear the place. But, he's not exactly moving quickly. There's some old boxes here and there.
Адамс.
Yeah. It was NATO that helped bring him in. Actually, it was one hell of a supply drop.
So, the supply drop, this was when exactly?
Right around the time we saw the ceasefire starting to break down. Must be more than a year ago now.
So, at that time, your camp was in the center of town?
Yeah, things were getting pretty desperate, though. I remember we hadn't been resupplied in months. No food, water, medicine. We were used to issues with logistics, but I don't know. In the end, it got so bad U.S. forces prepared an airdrop. Not an easy task, considering, but those crates, they really were life and death. That's why we needed somebody on the ground. Someone to make sure they came down okay.
And who was that?
A guy named Adams, part of the NATO peacekeeping force. Close friend of mine, actually.
Adams? He went out alone?
From the way he told it, he may as well have. No, he went along with some new recruits, local bunch. It was his job to show them the ropes.
Why didn't IDAP transport the aid themselves? There must have been a reason.
Yeah, there was. A couple of weeks previously, guerrillas had ambushed a convoy. It was some dissident group out to sabotage the peace talks in Kervala. Anyway, NATO intervened and the whole thing just blew up. A checkpoint was hit. Protesters were fired upon at the MOD.
Yes, we were there. AAN.
And you know how bad it got.
Our movements were limited by the government.
Exactly. And convincing anybody to reassign troops, to escort NGOs, just a total non-starter. We'd met on a previous deployment. This guy was your typical army lifer. Cynical, sarcastic, big heart, pissed off with everyone, everything, all the time. But he always seemed to know where to find a beer, and was always willing to share it.
From your perspective?
Well, for one thing, the change in the peacekeeping mandate came out of the blue. We heard the pressure came down the pipe from CSAT. They had the leverage.
You mean it was in their interest to kick NATO off the mainland?
Maybe. Certainly the government had become frustrated with NATO and vice versa.
I suppose they blame NATO for their, more sympathetic approach.
Hearts and minds, Adams used to tell me. But the others said they just didn't have the guts for it, couldn't do what needed to be done. Once he'd called in the airdrop, that was it. They just had to sit tight, hope for the best.
One thing I don't understand, what were they doing there, all the way up in the mountains?
The town, Oreo Castro, this place has historic ties with the guerrillas. For years, people here would provide them with food, water.
I see.
The government responded by draining the swamp.
And that involved sending soldiers?
Yeah, coin ops. Adams and his guys were there to remind them of their R2P.
Just a sec, I'm getting a bit lost in the lingo here.
Oh, gotcha. R2P is their responsibility to protect. Counterinsurgency can get real messy real quick. He was in charge of training, laws of armed conflict, that kind of thing. Adams normally tossed out an orange smoke grenade, which marked his position for the pilot.
So, these crates, were there a lot of them, or...?
No, just 4. One contained medicine, another fresh drinking water. The rest were packed with rice or grain. Adams had to inspect each one individually. Later, we arranged for lunch.
We've got an enemy parachute putting up a needle's northeast.
Thankfully, the rice seemed okay. It wasn't uncommon for the sacks of grain to split on impact, but that time, we got lucky. We didn't lose a single one. The medical items, you can imagine how pleased we were to see those.
So they landed safely?
Yeah, As I recall, the bottles of purified water were fine. We'd been waiting on those for weeks. As for the crates, they still needed to be checked before anyone else arrived. I don't have the numbers, but maybe 6 or 7 were killed.
And what happened when the supplies had been secured?
Adams would fire a flare. Reloading! Back at the camp, of course, we'd heard all the gunfire, but that flare, when we spotted it, I don't know, felt like finding a moment of hope or something.
Sure. I can only imagine. And thanks for sharing. It puts a human perspective on my work. Speaking of which, your friend, do you think he'd be willing to contribute further? Even, off the record. What with the topic of my article, having an expert, an instructor on the laws of war.
Look, I'm sorry. I know he'd help out however he could, but listen, he died on Stratus. Year and a bit later. Landmine.